This is a working demonstration of CapBPM's Exodus project. Exodus is designed to automatically convert Pega projects into Camunda-8 artifacts, process diagrams, decision tables, integrations, events, forms, security, everything. So let's start in the Pega App Studio. Here's a sample application with 3 use cases. Each use case is broken into stages, and each stage has its own process flow. At a glance, it looks a bit like BPMN. You can see activities, calls, gateways, but this is really just a breadth-friendly UI. It doesn't expose the technical details. Now I'm going to switch over to Dev Studio. You'll see more of what's going on under the hood. The data model, reports, UI components, and the process flows themselves. But if we actually open up the raw XML behind these flows, it's clear that this is not BPMN. It's Pega's own internal format, and not something you'd want to edit directly or lightly. That's where Exodus comes in. I can take the XML files, zip them up, and upload them into an Exodus Migration Studio. Exodus analyzes the packages and identifies the resources, the processes, the forms, the decisions, and so on. And from there, I can run a conversion. The result is not a magic bullet, but it is practical. The Pega workflows are mapped into BPMN diagrams. Decisions are turned into DMN tables with the appropriate head policies, input, output, and even annotations being carried across. Forms are extracted and rebuilt either as Camunda forms or as meta information that can be used to generate skeleton, React, or Angular forms. We also generate conversion logs, so you can see what was handled automatically and where some manual follow-up work might be required. For example, Pega blueprints often only capture the happy path, so some edge cases might not come through. Now, from here, I can download the converted package and deploy it directly into a Camunda-8 cluster. You see the process, the decisions, the forms all running on the new platforms. Even the integration and the security were carried over. So, in short, Exodus doesn't promise a perfect one-to-one transition. Anyone that tells you they can do that is not being completely truthful. The fact of the matter is that Exodus can help you automate the migration of 60 to 80% of your Pega application over to a microservices-based Camunda solution. But there's always going to be some manual work. Pegasus actually qualifies and quantifies that, and actually builds a project plan for you, delineating exactly what has to be done and how this work has to be ordered. So when you're ready to start with the actual manual part of the migration, you know exactly what you have to do, and you know exactly how you have to test it, and you know the roles and the skills that are involved in it. This way, instead of redrawing everything from scratch, you start with a real BPMN, real DMNs, real integrations, real forms, real security applications that mirror what you had in Pega. And then you can put the new layer, the stuff that's too nuanced to do automatically, or that you may actually want to evolve into something that you have hands-on people help you develop. My name is Max Young. I'm the CEO of Capital BPM. We are the Platinum Partner of the Year for 2024 and 2025 with Camunda for the entire American continent. I'm also a Camunda champion, a certified Camunda architect, and I lead the New York City chapter for Camunda. I'm also going to be speaking at CamundaCon October 7th and 8th on 2 stages, as well as being part of the keynote, which I'm really happy about. If you have any questions, if you want to talk about this, if you want a demonstration, if you want to explore this further, you can contact me at info@capbpm.com, or you can just reply to this medium. Thank you. Bye. Let me show you how Exodus can convert an Appian file over to a Camunda project. Now, as you can see, we support a wide range of sources. But for today's demo, I want to keep it simple and just focus on Appian integrations. So let's start with an exported package. Just like with the API, you can see there are 3 types of resources: forms, process controls, and then everything else, which ends up in the Files folder. For processes, we generate a BPMN file, and this BPMN contains all the key references, URLs, and everything else that we need to be able to run. We even detect decisions here, and that's been converted into a proper DMN decision table. And you'll notice that we picked up 2 forms, which were successfully converted over into Camunda forms, or they can be converted over to Angular or React, depending on what your needs are. Now, not every kind of form imports perfectly, but in many cases, it works out of the box. Now, let's drill into a specific project inside of Appian. Here you can see that we have a start event, a service call integration, an exclusive gateway, and a set of tasks. Let's look at the integration first, because it's really important to be able to demonstrate that we can, in fact, take entire integrations and port them over to Camunda. This particular activity references a connection, in this case an HTTP request, with its own attributes. The exclusive gateway is exactly what you'd expect. It has conditions and points to the right activities. If I open one of the user tasks, you can see that we define inputs, like a list of plants, and attach a form. That form includes a grid with fields for ID, name, and status, all neatly mapped to the right values. Now, if I jump over to the builder, you can see the entire package of resources from the Appian application. From here, I simply select what I want to migrate, generate a zip archive, and hit Save, Convert, and Download. And there it is, everything identified and converted. 2 forms, 1 flow, and a decision table, and an integration. Now, specifically for integrations, we use the built-in REST connector that Camunda provides out of the box. And we do our best to map all the parameters automatically. The things that we don't get, we mark and we say, hey, these are things that need to be handled manually. You'll also notice that the candidate groups are actually preserved on the user tasks. That means that if you were using a standard way to allocate tasks to a group in Appian, the same thing will work with Camunda. Now let's double click on the decision table. You'll actually notice that the HID policy, the inputs, the outputs, the annotations, they've all been faithfully converted over from Appian into their corresponding elements in DMN and Camunda. That means that when we open the package, the decision logic is already in place. And from here, it's just 1 click to deploy it. I can push the application to my cluster, and as you can see, it deploys successfully. The same goes for the entire process. And finally, we also support similar forms. So here's one with paths, inputs, and 3 columns, ID, name, and status. They work fine. And here's another start form with all the available options. And yes, that one deployed too. So that's the full journey, from package exportation to conversion to deployment, end-to-end Appian projects spread straight over into Camunda 8. Now I should say a couple of things. This is a little bit of a contrived demo. So even though it has integrations, it has decision tables, it has forms and candidate groups and so on, it's never really always this perfect in real life. What we find is that we can typically automate 60 to 80% of the migration, and the rest requires manual effort. We want to acknowledge that because we don't want to imply that Exodus is a magic bullet. It's not. But it is a really fast and reliable bus that can do the bulk of your transformation for you, allowing you to focus on the super complicated pieces that you need to do by hand in order to make sure that you have fidelity from the old legacy application over into Camunda. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Max Young. I'm the CEO of Capital BPM. I'm a Camunda champion, a certified Camunda architect, and I lead the New York City chapter of CamundaCon. If you're going to be in New York City, October 7th and 8th, please come and visit us at CamundaCon. We're actually going to be speaking on 2 stages, and I think we're actually going to be part of the keynote, which I'm really excited about. If you have questions, comments, if you want to talk about anything, you can contact me at info@capbpm.com. Thank you. Bye. There's a weird thing that happens when teams become really good with BPM applications. What you're going to find is that when your team really gets it, especially if they're using a system like Camunda, they're going to be able to deliver solutions twice as fast, 4 times as fast as what they were previously doing, which sounds wonderful, except it comes with sort of an unexpected problem. And the unexpected problem is this. When you're able to make changes really fast, you're going to tick off your QA team. Because now you've just taken the number of ways that you can get from start to finish, from 1 to 2 to 4 to like 16 to 24 to 32. Your QA team is going to come back and yell at you, and your QA managers are going to say, wait. You've just doubled or quadrupled the number of use cases. Going to need more budget, going to need more time, I'm going to need more resources, more training to test everything that you just introduced into this equation. So in a way, the QA team, while absolutely doing the right thing and making sure that things don't get broken, can kind of become the weak link in your productivity. How do you keep up with that? Well, the answer is that you actually want to start incorporating automated intelligent synthetic testing. So what I mean by that is you want something like Sentinel from Capital BPM, which will actually examine every possible path through your workflow, come back and tell you exactly how to test all of those things, and then actually build and execute those tests for you so that you can make sure that the speed with which you're able to test is able to match the speed with which you're actually able to develop. It's kind of an extraordinary problem to aspire to. You want your teams to be so fast that QA can't keep up. But when your QA can't keep up, that is a problem, and you've got to be able to solve that problem. And Sentinel is a way to do that. I'd love to show you more about it. If you have questions, if you want to challenge it, if you want to make sure that, I'm just not talking stuff and there's actually something here, contact us at info@CapBPM, reply to this email, reply to this video. Let's see if it's empirically true. My name is Vak Shong. I'm the CEO of Capital BPM, the 2024 and 2025 Partner of the Year for Camunda for the American continent. I'm also a Camunda champion and the leader of the New York City CamundaCon chapter. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to talk about. Thanks. So I want to talk about migrating from legacy Camunda to Camunda 8, but I want to do it in the context of reducing technical debt and optimizing your ability to adapt for the future. So if you're using Camunda 7, you chose a good system. It is very performant, it works really well, it is free, it's a good solution. The problem is that it's not going to continue to be a good solution. Camunda as a company is no longer investing in it. And what that means is that all the energy and creativity is going into the next generation, which is the SaaS-based cloud offering for Camunda 8. So what you get with Camunda 8 is native cloud performance, you get scalability and resilience, you get adaptability, you get one throat to choke if something goes wrong because Camunda is responsible for it, and you get integrated AI that's done intelligently. All of these things are things that are going to be not there for you if you stay with Camunda 7. There are also some really key architectural improvements. So, for example, you get asynchronous job workers. What that means for you from a practical perspective is that there's not really a practical limit to the number of nodes that be working on a job. So, for example, let's say you're an insurance company and at midnight you have to process 600,000 claims that all are released at once. You could do a search just in that time because your job workers can adapt for you. And then the rest of the time, you could utilize your resources much more intelligently. So what that means is that that sort of capability is native and it's baked into Camunda 8. It's not really there in Camunda 7. Camunda 7 also relies on a traditional relational database, where Camunda 8 uses native event-based sourcing. What that means is your ability to be able to receive and organize tasks is literally unencumbered by the order in which those tasks arrived. They're all organized, and it is designed to deal with anywhere from a couple of 100,000 to a couple of 100 million transactions. That is a lot of power. Capital BPM has one client that's actually scaling for 1.4 trillion transactions a year. 1 trillion transactions per year. That sort of capability is just not going to be physically possible for you with Camunda 7. Now, when you're thinking about migration, there are sort of two big approaches. One is a big bang approach, where you take everything that's happening, including threads that are in flight, and you migrate them over right now. That's the big bang approach. It is very impressive and it can work for simpler workflows, but for more complex things, it's fragile, because if it breaks, you're in a lot of trouble. The other approach is using an incremental approach. You have a way to let the old system finish out things that were in flight with the old system when they started, and then those drain out and any new things come in and they get routed to the new system. That way, you get consistency across the execution of the legacy processes, but the new ones can be happening at the same time on the new system that's migrated. For my money, I think that's probably the most conservative way to do this. Migrating to Camunda 8 is not about keeping up with the latest trend. It's about reducing your technical risk. It's about being able to take advantage of new innovations and new connections that are there. And it's about being able to grow your business for the vision that you have for it now, as opposed to the vision that you had for it 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Camunda 7 was an excellent choice. That is no longer the case. It's not unlike a BlackBerry. At the time, a BlackBerry was a fantastic choice. It was generationally ahead of what anyone else was doing. Eventually, that was no longer the case, and we all adapted. I'd like to invite you to consider doing the same thing, right? Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please contact us at info@capbpm.com. I should also mention that CapBPM does do a guaranteed migration. So what that means is we can actually take your Camunda 7 applications and 100% guarantee in contract, in writing, that we will migrate it to Camunda 8, or you don't have to pay us. Talk to your migration partners and make sure that they're willing to give you the same guarantee that we are.